The sun was slowly setting over the horizon, weaving golden hues into the neighborhood as everyday life faded away. Alejandro, his gaze fixed on the ground, was walking down the hallway of the building towards his apartment. He had just returned from work and his mind was filled with tumultuous thoughts. Since Sofia had moved into the apartment next door, his world had been turned upside down. The first time he saw her, she was unpacking boxes outside his door. The sun was caressing her dark hair as she laughed with joy. Alejandro was mesmerized by her radiant smile and energetic presence. From that moment on, an uncontrollable fire burned inside him. Fate had decided to join their paths, but reality was harsh and cruel. Alejandro was a married man, committed to a life that seemed to have lost its luster. The thought of betraying his wife was a heavy weight on his shoulders, but the attraction to Sofia could not be ignored. That night, as he lay in bed, Alejandro could hear the sound of soft music coming from Sofia's apartment. It was like a siren song calling to him, and his thoughts were lost in the fantasy of a forbidden love. Slowly, he got up and walked over to the wall that separated them. He closed his eyes and rested his hand on the cold concrete, imagining it was Sofia's soft skin. In that instant, her melodious voice filtered through the wall, whispering words in his ear that only he could hear. Alejandro's heart skipped a beat, and he knew that the connection between them was more than just an attraction. From that moment on, every day became an internal battle for Alejandro. He would find excuses to walk across the hall to meet Sofia. They might share a brief moment in the elevator, but those furtive glances were enough to ignite the spark of passion. Although their time together was limited, those fleeting encounters became the fuel for their deepest dreams. The silence of the night became their confidant. As the neighborhood drifted into slumber, Alejandro and Sofia found refuge on the roof of the building. The stars faded into silent witnesses of their secret love. There, under the starry blanket, they held each other tightly, letting their bodies and souls merge in uncontrollable passion. Each encounter became more intense, a dance of fire and desire. Their lips sought each other eagerly, and their hands explored every inch of each other's skin. Whispers of love echoed in the night, and the world disappeared around them. In those moments, it was just the two of them, consumed by a passion they refused to ignore. However, the forbidden love they shared came at a high price. Shadows of guilt and anguish crept into their hearts. Alejandro struggled with loyalty to his wife, while Sofia was torn between love and the promise she had made to her fiancé. Despite their efforts to keep their relationship a secret, fate had other plans. A curious neighbor discovered their clandestine love and could not resist spreading it throughout the neighborhood. Soon, accusing stares and murmurs of disapproval ran in their constant company. The pressure became unbearable. Alejandro and Sofia found themselves trapped in an emotional labyrinth, not knowing whether they could fight for their love or give it up forever. Society's condemnation weighed on them, but their passion burned with such intensity that they could not ignore it. Desperate to find peace, Alejandro and Sofia made a painful decision. They recognized that their love could not flourish in this hostile environment. Separating became the only option to seek the redemption they longed for. Thus, amid tears and broken promises, they said goodbye on that rooftop, under the starry sky that had witnessed their passionate love. They knew that their story was far from over, but now they would probably face life without each other's warmth. Days and years passed, and each went their own way. The secret love they had shared was left behind, but the memory lingered, a fire that would never be extinguished. They would always remember that passionate and forbidden love, which had left an indelible mark on their souls and on the neighborhood that saw them burn in the night. Time had passed since that fateful goodbye on the roof of the building. Alejandro and Sofia had separated, each going their separate ways in search of a new beginning. However, the echo of their passionate love continued to resonate in their hearts, leaving a void that no other relationship could fill. Alejandro tried to rebuild his marriage, but the ghost of his past affair with Sofia haunted him constantly. Every time he looked at his wife, he saw her as a shadow compared to the burning fire that Sofia had ignited within him. Remorse nestled in his chest, but he also felt an inexplicable sense of freedom for having made a difficult but necessary decision. On the other hand, Sofia had broken off her engagement and walked away from her fiancés. She found herself on a lonely path, struggling to overcome the love she still felt for Alejandro. Although she had been the one who had made the decision to separate, the pain was still there, constantly etching in her the passion she had left behind. They both felt like wandering souls, wandering in search of redemption and a new purpose in life. They found themselves at a turning point, facing the consequences of their actions and searching for a way forward. One day, fate crossed their paths again in an unexpected way. They both coincided in a small neighborhood coffee shop, a quiet and cozy place where the aroma of coffee filled the air. Their gazes met, and in that instant, time seemed to stand still. Memories and emotions swirled in their minds, reminding them of the intense love they had shared. Shyly, Alejandro approached Sofia. The words were stuck in his throat, but the look in his eyes spoke for him. Sofia, for her part, struggled to contain the emotions that threatened to boil over. It had been so long since their separation, but the bond between them seemed unbreakable. After a long silence, I finally found the courage to speak. They expressed their feelings, the pain they had faced, and the internal struggle they had experienced since their separation. They both agreed that they made the right decision to walk away, but they also realized that their love was something they could never forget. From that moment on, Alejandro and Sofia embarked on a new phase of their lives. They decided to maintain a close friendship, a mutual support in the midst of the storm they had unleashed. While they were not able to be together in the way they had wished, they found comfort in the connection they shared and in the complicity that only they understood. Together, they helped each other heal the wounds of the past and find a new balance in their lives. They learned to live with the choices they had made and to accept that love, at times, is unpredictable and complicated. Although they each moved on with their own relationships, their friendship remained an invisible thread that bound them together, an eternal flame that would never be extinguished. The passion and secrecy they had experienced as neighbors were in the past, but their story still continued. Alejandro and Sofia, two lost souls in search of redemption, clung to the hope that someday they would find peace and love, whether in a new relationship or in the strength of their friendship. Time took its course, and life had taken Alejandro and Sofia their separate ways. Each had sought redemption in their own way, trying to find peace and happiness in new horizons. However, fate had other plans in store for them. Alejandro, determined to make amends for the mistakes of his past, was striving to rebuild his marriage. He had learned to appreciate his wife's qualities and to commit himself in a deeper way. Although the memory of his love with Sofia was still present, it had become a reminder of the lessons he had learned and the price he had paid for his decisions. Sofia, for her part, had moved on with her life, seeking to heal her wounded heart. She found solace in her career and in the support of close friends. As time passed, he began to discover a new version of himself, a strong and determined woman who had drawn valuable lessons about love and redemption. Although they had gone their separate ways, Alejandro and Sofia never stopped thinking about each other. The friendship they had cultivated had become an anchor in the midst of the emotional storms they faced. They would support each other in times of difficulty and celebrate personal triumphs together. One day, as Alejandro reflected on his life and Sofia's role in it, he made a decision that would change his story forever. He felt he still had unfinished business with her, unspoken words and feelings that needed to be expressed. He decided to seek her out, not with the intention of reliving a love that could not be, but to close that chapter of his life and find the redemption he so longed for. With his heart pounding, Alejandro knocked on the door of Sofia's apartment. The meeting was full of mixed emotions, mixed with nostalgia and a mutual respect for the road they had traveled together. They talked for hours, sharing their experiences and the lessons they had learned. Finally, Alejandro found the courage to apologize for the pain he had caused Sofia and expressed his gratitude for the time they had shared. Sofia, in turn, forgave him from her heart and admitted that she too had made mistakes on her path to redemption. Together, Alejandro and Sofia came to an unspoken agreement. He acknowledged that their love had been intense and passionate, but he also understood that it was not the right time or the right circumstances for us to be together. They accepted that their friendship was a valuable treasure and they would decide to care for and nurture it. From that day on, Alejandro and Sofia continued their lives separately, but with a deep and meaningful connection. They strongly trusted each other, supporting each other through life's ups and downs. They celebrated their successes and comforted each other in times of sadness. They had found redemption in their friendship, comfort in knowing that, despite everything, there was still love and respect between them. The passionate and secret love that once consumed them had left an indelible mark on their lives, but it had also taught them valuable lessons about the power of forgiveness, the search for redemption, and the importance of friendship. And so, Alejandro and Sofia continued on their path to redemption, hoping that one day they would find peace and happiness on their own terms. Time continued to move forward, and the friendship between Alejandro and Sofia grew stronger with each encounter and conversation shared. As they moved forward with their lives, both found themselves in a state of inner renewal, ready to explore new possibilities and open their hearts to what destiny had in store for them. Alejandro, who had worked hard on his marriage, began to see positive changes in his relationship with his wife. Communication and understanding had strengthened with each other, and although there were still scars to heal, they were both ready to move forward together. In his redemption process, Alejandro had learned the importance of loyalty and commitment and was committed to being a loving and faithful husband. Sofia, for her part, had also experienced a rebirth in her life. She had dedicated herself to her career with passion and had found success in her professional field. But despite her accomplishments, an empty space lingered in her heart. She began to wonder if it was possible to find a sincere and lasting love, one that would make her feel the same way she had felt with Alejandro in the past. One day, while walking through the neighborhood, Sofia noticed a new cafe that had recently opened. She decided to go in, attracted by its cozy atmosphere and the promise of good coffee. As she entered, her eyes met those of a warm and friendly man who greeted her with a smile. That man was Daniel, a writer with a passion for letters and a deep sensitivity. The two began to engage in interesting conversations and chilled that they shared many affinities. A friendship blossomed between them, and as they spent more time together, Sofia began to feel her heart beating again with a new emotion. Meanwhile, Alejandro found himself in a moment of deep reflection. Despite his efforts to rebuild his marriage, he continued to feel that something was missing in his life. He remembered the fiery connection he had shared with Sofia and wondered if he would ever find such a passionate and authentic love again. In a twist of fate, Alejandro and Sofia met at a neighborhood social gathering. Surprise and joy filled his eyes at the verse again, and the spark of their past love was revived for an instant. This time, however, there was an air of maturity and acceptance in their meeting. They realized that they had gone their separate ways and had found some happiness in their new lives. Alejandro shared with Sofia his process of redemption and his desire to find a love that could match the intensity of what they had shared in the past. Sofia, in turn, talked about her personal growth and her encounter with Daniel, who had shown her a new perspective on love. At that moment, they both realized that their secret, passionate love affair had come to an end. Although there was still affection and a deep connection between them, they also recognized that it was time to let go of the past and open their hearts to new possibilities. Alejandro was able to continue working on his marriage, committing to making it work and pursuing happiness in the present. Sofia, for her part, chose to give love a chance with Daniel, allowing herself to explore a relationship that brought her joy and hope. Both said goodbye with a mixture of nostalgia and gratitude, knowing that their story had left an indelible mark on their lives. They promised to maintain their friendship and to support each other on their paths to happiness and redemption. And so, Alejandro and Sofia parted ways, each following their own destiny. As they moved forward, they found the courage to open their hearts again, learning to accept the past and embrace the present with gratitude and hope. They found redemption in second chances and opened themselves to the possibility of renewed and authentic love. Time passed and life continued its course, bringing with it new experiences and learning. Alejandro and Sofia had moved on, each in search of their own happiness and redemption. As they immersed themselves in their respective relationships, they also allowed themselves to explore the dreams and passions that had been on the back burner for so long. Alexander, committed in his marriage, strove to build a strong relationship with his wife. Through open communication and mutual understanding, they managed to overcome the obstacles that came their way. Together, they supported each other in the pursuit of their individual dreams and encouraged each other to achieve goals that seemed unattainable. For her part, Sofia found herself in a relationship with Daniel, the man who had come into her life at a time of rebirth. Together, they shared a special connection based on trust, respect, and mutual love. Daniel, a creative soul, encouraged Sofia to pursue her dreams of writing and expressing her voice through words. As Sofia delved into the world of writing, she discovered a burning passion that had been dormant within her. Her words developed into wings that allowed her to fly and express her true self. Her writings were a mixture of lived experiences, deep desires, and longings that had been born out of her passionate love with Alejandro and her process of redemption. Meanwhile, Alejandro was also embarking on a new adventure. He had rediscovered his love for music, a passion he had put aside in his quest for redemption. He took guitar lessons and began composing his own songs, using music as a way to express his deepest emotions and free his creative spirit. Despite going their separate ways, Alejandro and Sofia never stopped being friends. They supported each other's dreams and shared the joy of seeing each other find their way to redemption and happiness. Although the passionate love they had shared no longer existed, the connection they had forged remained a valuable and eternal bond. One day, Alejandro began to organize a small concert to share his songs with the world. He invited Sofia and his closest friends, including Daniel, who had become an important part of both of their lives. During the concert, emotions flowed through the music, and Alejandro let his voice convey every feeling he had stored in his heart. Listening to the lyrics of his songs, Sofia felt a mixture of nostalgia and pride. She remembered the moments shared with Alejandro and realized how much she had grown since then. She recognized that her redemption lay not only in finding a new love, but in coming to terms with her past and celebrating the love and friendship she had experienced. After the concert, Alejandro and Sofia met face to face. Their gazes met, and in that instant, they understood that they had reached a point of balance and acceptance. They had left the past behind and had found redemption in their own forms of expression and in the love they still shared as friends. Thus, Alejandro and Sofia continued their lives, pursuing their dreams with passion and letting redemption guide them to a full and meaningful life. Although the passionate and secret love that once existed between them had been left in the past, their friendship remained a bright flame that reminded them of the power of redemption and the importance of moving forward with courage and determination. Time took its course, and Alejandro and Sofia continued to grow as individuals, exploring their passions and seeking happiness every step of the way. Their lives were filled with new experiences, achievements, and friendships that enriched them. Alejandro found success in his musical career, sharing his talent in songs with an ever-widening audience. His music resonated with the emotions and experiences of those who listened to him, and his voice became a symbol of hope and redemption. Through his art, Alejandro found a way to heal and transmit a message of love and self-improvement. Sofia, for her part, had found her voice as a writer. Her words were a mixture of passion, truth, and redemption. Her stories touched readers' hearts and reminded them that there is always a chance to be reborn and find happiness. As her writings became increasingly recognized, Sofia became an inspiration to many, proving that redemption is a gift that can be found and shared. Over the years, the friendship between Alejandro and Sofia remained strong. They supported each other through difficult times, celebrated each other's successes, and fondly recorded shared memories. They had learned to accept the past and appreciate the importance of redemption in their lives. One day, on the anniversary of their first meeting, Alejandro and Sofia reminisced at the place where they met in secret. They recalled the moments of passion and secrecy they had experienced and realized how much they had grown since then. There was a sense of gratitude and acceptance in the air, a realization that their story had been an important chapter in their lives, but that now it was a time to move on. At that moment, Alejandro took Sofia's hand and looked at her with a warm smile. There was a spark of love and gratitude in his eyes. He expressed his appreciation for the friendship he had cultivated and the impact it had had on his life. Sofia reciprocated with words of appreciation and affection, sharing how their friendship and story had been an invaluable life lesson. In that instant, they knew it was time to definitively let go of the past and embrace the present with gratitude and joy. They said goodbye with an embrace full of affection and promises to continue supporting each other on their respective paths to happiness and redemption. Finally, Alejandro and Sofia left that place, taking with them the gift of redemption. Each went their own way, knowing that they had found forgiveness, inner peace, and the strength to face life's challenges. And so, the story of passionate and secret love between two neighbors came to an end. But their friendship would last forever, and the memory of their special connection would live on in their hearts as proof that love and redemption are capable of transforming lives and opening paths to happiness.